Hello and welcome to Arsenal Analysed. I'm JC. I hope you're doing well. And today I have one hell of a video for you Gooners. Tactical analysis, Chelsea 2, Arsenal 4. We were absolutely spoiled with this particular fixture and we'll be breaking everything down in today's video. So if you do go on to enjoy, a like would be super appreciated. And if you're new around here, please do consider subscribing as it massively helps me and the channel out. But what will we be covering in this video? Kicking off with the starting lineup and subs made by Mikel Arteta. Then we'll go a little deeper, looking at the statistics and action areas for both Arsenal and Chelsea before analysing key moments throughout the game, whether that be systems or goals. And then to finish up, player analysis. Players that stood up for me or you, let me know down in the comments below. But I'm sure you're looking forward to this one just as much as I am. So let's waste no more time at all and jump straight into things. So the starting lineup, a few surprises in there. A lot of Arsenal fans have been calling for Mikel Arteta to change the system since picking up major injuries to the likes of Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey. I suppose it's to better suit the players that are available to Arsenal. And it came at a great time. Now, there were two systems implemented in and out of possession, which is nothing new in modern football. But looking here, Holding coming in was a bit of a surprise. Tavares at left back, really happy to see that Arteta is showing him some faith. Who would have thought he would have played at such a consistent level in this particular game after coming off at half-time against Crystal Palace? Saka as a right wing back, but then again, in possession, he was much further up the field. Elneny coming in with a little bit more experience in there alongside Granit Xhaka. Martinelli was dropped with Smith-Rowe coming out on the left-hand side. But as I mentioned in my preview video, one thing that I wanted to see was the Hale End boys starting because they love a London derby. And Nketiah really did grab his opportunity with both hands. Now, what I will say is that when Arsenal were in possession, Saka did push up more as a right winger with Ben White coming in as a right back. Xhaka and Elneny took turns at dropping in, and Odegaard did push in as a number 10 at times. Other times he doubled up out wide with Saka, and then Smith, he jumped in at number 10 with Tavares providing the width on the left-hand side. Out of possession, and I have a great picture to show you guys in the later part of this video. When we were actually out of possession, Arsenal were playing with somewhat of a back five with four in midfield, the Smith and Odegaard providing those four in midfield, and then Nketiah providing the pressure as and when. Unless we were providing pressure in a much higher part of the pitch, then we saw Smith-Rowe and Odegaard apply that pressure as and when. Substitutes-wise, I thought there were some good substitutions made. Cedric coming on in the 74th minute was a great sub. He really did look good, providing that width and high pressure on the right-hand side late in the game. Saka coming on for Lacazette in the 95th minute was, well, just really to waste time. And then Martinelli coming in for Nketiah. The first substitution in the game. A lot of Arsenal fans have wanted to see Martinelli play as a central forward. We got our wish. Didn't set the world alight. Nketiah clearly more comfortable in that position on the night. We'll see where this takes us come the Manchester United game. Having a look at the statistics surrounding this particular result and the action areas. For those of you who regularly watch the channel, you'll have noticed there are a number of new graphics. But in terms of possession, tables have turned. Arsenal have had high possession stats in the last 2 or 3 games against the likes of Brighton and Southampton, for example. And in this game, we were defending for large parts, especially in that first half. Arsenal very much limited to counter-attacks. And, well, I wouldn't say the first goal came from a counter-attack. It was more of a long ball where Arsenal put Christensen under pressure, or just Nketiah, which we'll get into in just a moment. Surprisingly, Arsenal managed to create 14 chances just from 32% possession compared to Chelsea's 11, creating 1.58 XG compared to Chelsea's 1.4. And then the rest of these stats didn't really surprise me. Action areas, Arsenal clearly looking to dominate down that right-hand side, which is where Alonso typically tends to play on the left. He does like to get forward, but with Chelsea playing more of a back three, Arsenal looking to play high and wide, which is definitely a strength of Arsenal's. Now, if we have a look at Chelsea's action areas, it does suggest that a lot of their play did come down their left-hand side as well, which is where Mason Mount often found himself. But especially in that second half, what I found is that there were a lot of balls coming in from that right-hand side. It did seem as though Chelsea were looking to target Tavares, obviously a player that has been low on confidence. And we do know how important Reece James can be on that right-hand side for Chelsea. And then we look at some of the action areas overall for both sides, with a lot of that possession coming in midfield at 42%. No real surprises there, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below with regards to what you can see on screen. One thing that I really did like is that we can see here in Arsenal's passing shape that Eddie Nketiah is the furthest man forward. So a very different type of forward compared to Lacazette, who likes to drop in deep. And then Saka and Smith Rowe looking to provide quite a lot of width. Tavares quite drawn back, which was another surprise for me. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Getting into the first goal of the game, this came from a long ball, more of a clearance from, I think it was Tavares, inside his own box, just looking to get rid of the ball. Christensen, a player with his experience, he misplaced the pass with what looked like it should have been to Mendy. Nketiah doing what all good forwards do, sniffing out that danger, providing that pressure on Christensen. And we can see here in picture number 2 that he eventually ends up with the ball. Still a lot to do. Mendy, a very, very good goalkeeper, but he does manage to slot that ball in. This one, obviously a very easy one to analyse. Picture number 3 was Chelsea's first goal to make it 1-1. Arsenal lost the ball very cheap in midfield before Timo Werner actually picks up the ball. But you can see here Arsenal in a very good shape with those 4 players in that line there. Timo Werner just cuts inside. And I think the commentators on the night literally summed it up perfectly. If you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win. Timo Werner hits the ball towards goal. It takes a horrible deflection. You can see Saka here highlighted in the red circle. He eventually gets back, slots into a back 5, and I think it eventually comes off of him and sends Ramsdale the wrong way. Again, not really too much to analyse here, just really, really, really unfortunate. Not the greatest defending. Arsenal losing the ball quite cheaply in midfield. Here we can see in picture number 1, this was the 3rd goal of the game, Arsenal second. A fantastic move, a great counter-attack. Arsenal very lucky whilst messing around with the ball in their own box. This started from Aaron Ramsdale. We were knocking the ball around quite nicely at the time before we created our own problems. We managed to get out from the back, cheeky little nutmeg from Granit Xhaka in the build-up. The ball eventually ends up on the right-hand side, which we can see here in picture number 1 with Bukayo Saka. And now you can see here in all of the red circles, Arsenal at times did have a front 5, which did include Emil Smith Rowe, which you can't see in this particular picture. But that front 5 typically tended to consist of Bukayo Saka on the right, Tavares on the left, Nketiah as the figurehead, and then in and around him, you would often see Odegaard and Smith Rowe. But as you can see, Bukayo Saka with the ball on the right-hand side. He plays it in to Martin Odegaard, who lays the ball off to Smith Rowe. And again, as the commentator said on the night, a lot of players, a lot of professionals hit this ball. It goes over the bar. It goes wide. They try to provide too much power. But all Smith Rowe done was cushion this ball and guide it. He hit first time into that bottom right-hand corner. And on the night now, I know we haven't spoken about Saka's goal, but Smith Rowe and Saka, 10 goals apiece. Something I highlighted in my preview video, Saka and Smith Rowe would provide the danger on the night. Picture number 3 was Chelsea's answer to Arsenal's second goal. And again, sloppy defending. There are question marks as to whether or not Ben White was fouled and there should have been a free kick. But nevertheless, you have to get on with it. You have to play to the whistle. And we can see here that Mason Mount provides a good cross into a dangerous area. And in the blue circle on the far right-hand side in picture number 3, we can see here that Azpilicueta is making a late run into the box. Now, Tavares isn't caught square here. In my opinion, he does need to do better. He's a very, very quick player, and he needs to be sniffing out that danger. And he allows Azpilicueta to get in front of him as that ball hits the 6-yard box. And it's 2-2. So a crazy, crazy first half of football. And I would say that the defending was probably the worst part of what was on offer during this game. And then final slide on key moments in picture number 1 here. As I mentioned right back at the very beginning of the video in terms of shape, this typically highlights the shape that Arsenal were in when out of possession. We can see those 5 players there at the back, the 2 players in midfield, and then the 3 players up top. And you can see the 2 red arrows there is where Arsenal were looking to change that shape when winning the ball back, which is exactly what happened in this particular move. The Chelsea defender there plays the ball into midfield. The ball is then lost. The ball then ends up at the feet of Tavares. He makes a great run down the left-hand side. He plays the ball into the box. And then, as mentioned, even more great defending from Chelsea. Arsenal weren't great at defending either. The ball quite literally knocks between 2 or 3 different players. And this is where Nketiah offers something very, very different to Lacazette. A fox in the box, if you will. Sniffs out that danger. The ball ends up at his feet. He toe pokes it past Mendy. Mendy sees the ball far too late with everything that's going on, and the ball ends up in the back of the net, and it is 3-2 to Arsenal. And then the final goal of the game, or the final move of the game, in picture number 3, we can see here, as mentioned when talking about the starting lineup and subs, Cedric providing a lot of height and width on that right-hand side. He did very, very well when he came on. He plays the ball into the box. Now, one thing I will say that is a little bit questionable from Chelsea's point of view, Bukayo Saka here, you can see in picture number 3, is surrounded by 4 Chelsea players. Yes, you still have to mark the player just in case it is a phenomenal ball and Saka creates great movement. But there's no real danger, nothing to be too afraid of here. And what I don't understand is why Azpilicueta, I wouldn't say challenges Saka, but gets as physical as he does for as long as he does. You know, he's basically forcing the referee and VAR into making a decision. Don't put yourself into that position. He then goes on to argue with the referee for a few minutes. And I love the fact that it was Bukayo Saka that not only won the penalty, but stepped up to take it, especially after all the grief and problems he had after the Euros, missing that penalty in European final. So great character from Bukayo Saka. And that made it 4-2 on the night. 4-2 to Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. What a result. Okie dokie. So to finish things up, we've got some player analysis. These may not necessarily have been your favourite players or best players on the night. These are players that I wanted to talk about. Kicking off with Eddie Nketiah. As already mentioned, he offers something very, very different to Lacazette. He will play off the last defender. He will be an absolute problem, a physical problem in the box as and when he needs to. Lacazette likes to drop a little deeper. In his heat map there, you can see that he's situated a little bit more to that right-hand side. He bagged himself 2 goals, 5 shots, 2 on target. That's all that really matters. 73% passing accuracy, completing 1 out of 4 dribbles. And as mentioned, he's an absolute handful for defenders. He likes to win headers. He likes to get himself involved in challenges. 13 duels he was involved in against Chelsea, of which winning 8. I can very much see Eddie Nketiah playing against Manchester United on Saturday, or even playing for the remainder of this season. And he got some good comments from Mikel Arteta after the game. He mentioned that Eddie Nketiah is this player in training every single week, which begs the question, why hasn't he started sooner, with Lacazette not having scored a goal from open play since December? So we could well see Eddie Nketiah play in an Arsenal shirt, starting each and every week between now and the end of the season. Mohamed Elneny is another player that I want to talk about, not often used by Arsenal. I think one of the last times he actually started a game was against Manchester United. He's not often used, as already mentioned, but when asked to step up to the plate, he absolutely delivers. He does very, very well in the international scene for Egypt, and he had a phenomenal game. Obviously, far more experienced than Lokonga, and also, will we see Lokonga play in the remainder of this season when we're playing in this system, if it is utilised again? But Mohamed Elneny, alongside Granit Xhaka, 2 very experienced players. They played very, very well, and they complement each other very, very well. 90% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, 3 out of 4 long balls completed, which is something that we often see and associate with Thomas Partey. 4 interceptions, winning 3 out of 5 duels. So a top performance and a great headache for Arteta to have now between now and the end of the season. Who do you go for, El Neni or Sambi Lokonga? And then finally, we've got Emile Smith-Rowe, a player that I've spoken about in recent weeks, a player that I absolutely love. And the reason I wanted to speak about him as opposed to other players who had good performances on the night, others do include the likes of Odegaard, who I thought was very, very good on the ball, creating problems, and Saka, non-stop up and down that wing. But the reason I wanted to speak about Emile Smith-Rowe is because in recent weeks, he hasn't seemed himself, but we saw the best version of Emile Smith-Rowe against Chelsea. 1 key pass, 1 goal, 83% accuracy, 2 out of 2 dribbles, and 4 out of 8 duels. And he even looked quite frustrated when coming off. And I hope now that after that muddled form, whether it was down to fitness or confidence, I'm not too sure. Hopefully he can kick on now in what is going to be a very important part of the season. We are now level on points with Spurs, with the North London derby still to play. So 4th place, everything to play for. And to have someone like Smith-Rowe coming into a bit of form in these final 6 or 7 games is absolutely huge. So fingers crossed he can kick on. But that is going to about wrap things up for this video. One that I really did enjoy analysing. I hope you have too. Pop your man of the match down in the comments below. And also let me know, do you want Arteta to play this same system and same set of players against what is another huge game against Manchester United this Saturday? I'd love to hear from you all. But if you have enjoyed today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And I'm now less than 80 away from that 1,300 goal that I've set myself in terms of subscribers. So please do subscribe if you're new around here. But that's going to about wrap things up. I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.